So my name is Reka Nyari. I am a fashion and fine art photographer. I am mostly known for doing strong and sexy photos of women. I also like to empower women. And my first book, Femme Fatale, sold out and is now a collector's item and is selling for over 30 times its original value. I feel extremely lucky and fortunate to be able to make my living doing what I love the most, which is photography. I work with amazing creative team, amazing people who inspire me and help me create the work that I do. I wasn't always doing photography. I had a really rough journey getting here. And I came to New York when I was 17. I always wanted to be a painter. That's what I wanted to do. So I came to SVA to study fine arts. I was a really shy, little quiet student just painting in my studio. I really had no life over those years. I felt kind of lost, but I just painted and basically worked all those years. And after I graduated, the first thing that came to mind was, what the hell am I going to do with my life? I had basically no connections in the art world in New York City. I had no way of making a living as an artist. So I started doing odd random jobs just to be able to pay rent and to pay for my art supplies and art studio. And I waitressed and I worked in a coffee shop and I sold leather clothing. I really had no money to even paint or energy. My whole creativity was consumed just by making ends meet. And I was rescued for a few years from that by being discovered by a modeling agency. And I traveled the world and I had an amazing time. And I lived all over Asia and Europe. And I loved it, but I really missed being creative. I was living out of a suitcase and I couldn't really express myself or make things with my hands or paint. And so I came back to New York. Oh, I forgot a slide. That's one of my modeling shots. And I came back to New York and I was really determined this time to make it work. And instead of taking odd jobs throughout the day, I wanted to find a job that would pay the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. So I started working in New York City, Club World nightlife circuit, selling expensive bottles at night for thousands of dollars. And initially, this seemed like a really good idea, and I had a lot of fun, but it actually, the whole lifestyle really kind of absorbs you. You end up becoming a vampire, and the days that you have free after working till 6 a.m., 8 a.m., and then you really don't have the energy in you to really be productive that much. So I didn't really paint, but what I did start doing is taking photos. And I found a model that was always willing to work for me, work for free at all hours of the night and never complained, and that was me. So I started shooting myself, and I couldn't wait to come home from work and cover myself in paint and glitter and Vaseline, which I don't recommend doing because it doesn't come out of your hair for a week. And I started doing these dark and edgy self-portraits of myself. And although they were a secret, I didn't show them to anyone initially. They really sparked my love for photography. And whereas before I thought that I would need to paint my photos, I thought that my photos were good enough on their own. And they were strong enough, and they were art. And later on, these photos, the late night session, were my first exhibition at a gallery. And they were done with a very cheap 2-megapixel point-and-shoot Pentax camera with me having absolutely no training in photography. And they showed it really well, and I sold a ton of pieces, and it kind of showed me that I did not have to have expensive equipment or training in order to create art. But I soon did realize after that, I was shooting, it gave me a confidence to move on, that I did need to upgrade and I did need to learn in order to further my career. And I faced the challenge that a lot of photographers have, which is it's very expensive to get started in that career. You need tons of equipment. You also need the time to learn to use that equipment. But I was very lucky to have friends that helped me out. I actually hate technology, and I really hate learning new things. But I would come home at 6 a.m. from work, and I really started just kicking my own ass, and learning and producing me work that I never thought that I could even do. And initially, I would work, wake up after 2 hours of sleeping after working, and start learning and teaching myself Photoshop and lighting, and I would shoot whoever would want to shoot with me. And within about a year, I had enough of a book and enough of confidence to start approaching clients. And I started small. I met some connections through my nightlife connections of smaller designers and models, and I started doing lookbooks. And within a year, or I would say within almost 3 years of my black and white self-portraits, I was shooting for some of my first big commercial clients. And in 2007, I was able to quit nightlife and be a full-time photographer, which was really a dream come true for me. And I feel like I've come a long way, but I'm still on my journey, and I'm still growing, and I feel like in so many ways my creative journey is just beginning. And for anybody who is interested in, or has to, I would say they have to pursue a photography or an art career, I would ask them the question, what are you waiting for? There's always going to be a million obstacles in your way, and it's going to be very daunting and very scary, and you might think you're going to fail. But I think as long as you keep creating, and as long as you keep improving yourself and challenging yourself, you're absolutely on the right path. Thank you, guys.